Right guys, pre-season is virtually over and the championship is back this Friday. And that can only mean one thing, we are back with our weekly championship score predictions. Now usually these videos will be posted on Wednesday, but as it's the first of the season, I thought we'd go a little bit early. And before we jump into my score predictions for week one, a quick shout out to the Patreon as well. If you guys want to get involved with the Predictions League this season, then go ahead and head over to the Patreon, link in the description down below. We'll be running the league this year on Superbrew, and there's a £100 gift card going to the winner of that league. All you need to do to get involved in that league is head on over to the Patreon. It's a couple quid a month. And along with joining the Predictions League, you can also join the Patreon exclusive fantasy football leagues that we've got going, both for the EFL and for the Premier League. But enough of that, let's get into these score predictions. Starting out on Friday night, under the lights at St Andrews, it's Birmingham up against Ipswich, and this has the potential to be an absolute cracker to kick off this championship campaign. Now, those that watched League One over the weekend, it was Luton against AFC Wimbledon that got the regular League One season underway, and that game probably wasn't a great advert for the EFL on Friday night. There wasn't a great deal of quality in it, but it feels like this game will have a lot of eyeballs on it, and I don't feel like it'll disappoint. Now, first game of the season, we've not really got a lot to read into. You can obviously look at pre-season form and results, but even that, I don't think you can take a great deal away from. But with that being said, we've not got anything else to go off. Birmingham are coming off the back of a good win over Nottingham Forest in pre-season. 1-0, played some lovely football in that from the highlights I saw. But Ipswich have been scoring for fun. They just put 3 goals past Auxerre in their last pre-season match. With the attacking talent on display at Ipswich, I don't feel like a lot of sides will keep a clean sheet against them this season. But Birmingham in League One last season were an immovable force at home. They didn't lose any of their 23 home matches. The bookies do have Birmingham as the slight favourites for this one, which I find really interesting. I rate both these sides. I've got them both predicted to finish in the top 3 come the end of the season. As a season opener, I'm going to sit on the fence here. Going to go for a 1-1 draw between those two. Think it could be a really good game of football though. After that, we go to the first of the Saturday 12:30 kickoffs. It's Charlton up against Watford. The bookies do have Charlton down as the slight favourites for this one. Newly promoted club at home on the first game of the season. Nathan Jones is absolutely going to have that squad up for it. To be fair though, there's quite a bit of change at both clubs this summer. You'd imagine quite a few debuts are going to be handed out, both in the Charlton starting 11 and at Watford as well. For Watford, obviously quite a bit of transition over this summer with Paolo Pezzolano coming in. It'll be his first game in charge and first taste of English football as well. From a Watford perspective, they'll be hoping that the form in the back end of last season doesn't carry on into this year. They only won one of their last 9 championship matches last time around. Quality-wise, I do look at that Watford squad and think there are quite a few goals to be had in that team if everything clicks into place. But with Charlton being at home, first game of the season, I'm going to make them maybe slight favourites just for that reason. Score prediction here, I'm going to go 2-1 Charlton. I fancy Nathan Jones to have them really fired up on the first game of the season. After that, and to the next early kickoff on Saturday, we've got Coventry going up against Hull. I think a lot of people are fancying Cov for a top 6 finish this time around, obviously. The form they showcased in the back end of last season under Frank Lampard, you definitely expect them to be one of the sides in the mix. And while Hull are being tipped by many for relegation right now, the strongest starting 11 that they can put out on paper, even taking into consideration some of the injuries they've got coming into the start of this season, still looks pretty competitive to my eye. This will obviously be Sergei Yakirovic's first game in English football. Pre-season, despite all the distractions going on above Hull, has looked actually pretty decent from the outside looking in. But travelling away to Coventry on the first game of the season is by no means an easy task. They've got plenty of goals in that squad, and you'd imagine it's going to be a packed out home crowd as well. But with all that being said, Coventry just have the tendency to start season slowly. Whether that was a Mark Robbins thing and not a Coventry thing, I guess we'll see this season. But you're going back 4 seasons the last time that Coventry won on the first game of a championship season. Whether that counts for anything going into this game against Hull, you can be the judge. I've just got a sneaky feeling that Hull could nick something from this game. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 between those two. And then to the last of the early kickoffs we've got on Saturday, it's Southampton going up against Wrexham. I'm sure there'll be plenty of eyeballs on this game as well. Now for Wrexham, they're probably not coming into this one with the ideal preparation because their transfer business has been a bit later on in the window. They've not had the chance to bed all of these new signings into a cohesive system yet under Phil Parkinson. Obviously, they did the tour in Australia earlier in July, lost a couple of those matches as well, didn't they? And then their latest pre-season friendly lost 3-1 against Groningen. It just feels like Southampton have a bit more of a settled squad right now. I know there's a bit of change going on there over the summer, obviously, with Will Still coming in, but personnel-wise, there's not been a great deal of change at Southampton, and I feel like that could suit them early on for starting this season quite well. Wrexham have a feeling that they might be one of the sides that grow into this season, and away at Southampton, first game of the season, could be pretty brutal. Listen, Wrexham like to defy the odds, don't they? But first game of the season, I'm back in Southampton here. I'm going 3-1 to the Saints in that season opener. Next up, we go to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Swansea. Rob Edwards' first game in charge. Still feels like Borough are a bit of a working project with all that's still needed between now and the end of the window. Still feels like very much a Michael Carrick squad that Rob Edwards will try and put his own twist on, but whether or not they have the personnel to play the way that he wants to right away, that remains to be seen, and because that's the case, may take them a little bit of time to kick into this season. Now, Swansea ended last season in absolutely fantastic form, and if they can pick things up from where they left off, I wouldn't be totally surprised if Swansea managed to snatch something from this game. Now, from a Swansea perspective, they are looking particularly light defensively going into their season opener. Both Cabango and Santos have picked up injuries during pre-season and are both doubts going into this game. As that's the case, and Swansea could be playing with a few players out of position in that back line, they're going to want to play maybe with a bit of a handbrake on. Borough are the obvious favourites here. They're the favourites with the bookies, and I imagine most of the neutrals would back them for a home win as well, but they were so inconsistent at the Riverside last season, weren't they? For me, I'm going to go for a draw between those two. 1-1, I'm saying. After that, we go to Carrow Road for Norwich up against Millwall. Really interesting matchup on the opening day of the season, this. Two sides that I do fancy to be in and amongst the playoff mix. If you watch my 1-24 predictions, I had both Norwich and Millwall just missing out in 7th and 8th. So who looks stronger on the opening day? Yeah, could be quite interesting here. Now, for Norwich last season at Carrow Road, they were one of the most free-scoring sides in the league. In home games last season, Norwich averaged 2.26 goals per game. Obviously, quite a bit of change at the club over the summer with all the new players coming in, Liam Manning as well. Worth noting that Bristol City's real strength last season under Liam Manning was their home form as well. They had so many 2-1 wins at Ashton Gate, didn't they, under Manning, and he'll be looking to bring that to Norwich next season. But for Millwall, they don't tend to give away a great deal, and away from home, Millwall were pretty decent value for money last season. They were the 9th best team in the Championship away from home, only lost 9 away matches all season. I could see goals at either end in this one, maybe just with Norwich having that bit more firepower. Score prediction in that one, I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich to kick off Liam Manning at Carrow Road and him to get off to a winning start. But Alex Neil, you can never write him off a Millwall, can you? Next up, we go to Oxford up against Portsmouth. I think Oxford's home form this season, as it was last time around, will be absolutely vital to their survival chances. Pre-season preparation maybe hasn't been ideal. I saw Gary Rowett saying the other week that they were a little bit behind schedule in terms of their overall fitness levels. Obviously, they had that trip to Indonesia, didn't they? Which was interesting. But in fairness, they did win their last pre-season game and put 3 goals past Malaga, which I thought was quite eye-catching. Pompey, really good watch in the second half of last season, but away form on the whole was a little bit iffy. I've also seen it reported that Colby Bishop could be a doubt going into the opening weekend after he picked up a groin injury in pre-season. So if Bishop is going to be out of this season opener, that definitely nullifies a lot of Pompey's threat going forward. Gary Rowett loves a low-scoring draw, doesn't he? I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends level. Score prediction there, I'm going to go for a 1-1 on the opening day. Next then we go to Loftus Road for QPR up against Preston. As a North End fan, I think I'd definitely take a point coming into this season opener. Our head-to-head record with QPR in recent years really isn't great. I think we've lost our last 4 consecutive matches home and away with QPR. And just at the front end of the pitch right now, I think they definitely have more quality and potential match-winning players. For North End, we've also got quite a few injuries, injury concerns coming into this one. Looks like Robbie Brady will be missing, Brad Potts, Will Keane, Jordan Thompson as well, who will be out for quite some time. So already it looks like the North End squad is a little bit down to the bare bones. QPR themselves looks like have a few few injury concerns, especially defensively coming into this one, but at the front end of the pitch, ultimately that's where this game's going to be won and lost, and I just think QPR have a bit more about them at this stage. Score prediction, reluctantly, I'm going 2-0 QPR in that game. After that, we go to the Bet365 for Stoke up against Derby. Now, funnily enough, this was the fixture on the last game of last season. It was at Pride Park and Derby played out that goalless draw with Stoke on game week 46. It felt like a bit of a non-event, to be honest with you, with both sides knowing that a point was going to be good enough to keep them up. They played out that ball draw. Hopefully we get a bit more goal-mouth action in this game. It definitely feels like the sort of match that could be decided off a set-piece. Last season, Derby scored from 22 set-piece situations, more than any other club in the Championship, and with Stoke City now having Sorba Thomas in their ranks, a set-piece specialist, and some of the big centre-halves they've got in that team, I definitely fancy them to be up there in terms of scoring from corners this season especially. It does feel like quite a low margin, low scoring game this one. Robbins up against Eustace. For that reason, the first goal feels quite important. Would not be surprised if this one ends goalless. I've not backed any away wins yet, have I? And I think that Derby will be better than Stoke this season. For that reason, I'm just going to edge Derby for a 1-0 away victory there. But first goal in that game feels like it's going to be quite important. Next up, we go to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Blackburn. Generally speaking, since West Brom have been back in the Championship since 2021, their home form has always been really consistent year upon year. But with that being said, it is worth noting that Blackburn did win away at West Brom last season. They had a 2-0 win against them back in February. Pre-season, the summer transfer window for Blackburn, I don't think has been ideal. I think on paper they are coming into this season looking a bit weaker than they were last time. Obviously still time to change that in the transfer market, but going into this season opener against West Brom, I think it is the home side who I am fancying for that reason. Once again, think they'll be strong at home. Obviously Ryan Mason's first game in charge as well. That crowd's going to be roaring him on. I do see both sides scoring. I'm just going to edge it to the Baggies though. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1 West Brom in that game. Next up we go to Bramall Lane for Sheffield United up against Bristol City. This is the evening kickoff on Saturday. Obviously a repeat of last season's playoff semi-final. I don't think this fixture is going to be as one-sided as those two games where obviously Sheffield United beating Bristol City 6-0 in aggregate in those playoffs. It does feel like Bristol City are a little bit more well settled at the moment under Gerhard Struber than Sheffield United are potentially under Ruben Selles, pre-season wise that is. From the outside looking in at Bristol City during pre-season, Emil Rees has been on absolute fire, and I'd fancy him maybe to get a goal in this game, first game of the season, against a Sheffield United defence which is looking paper thin at the moment with the amount of defensive injuries they've got coming in to the opening game week of the season. In the Blades' last pre-season friendly, Jack Robinson was out with an injury, Ahmed Hozic didn't travel because of an illness, and Tyler Binden was also injured as well. So already Sheffield United have a bit of a pile-up of injured centre-halves, and Bristol City could definitely look to take advantage of that. With that being said, Sheffield United did not lose many matches at Bramall Lane last season, did they? But I'm quite optimistic that we could get a bit of an open and entertaining game between these two sides here. Score prediction, let's have a bit of fun with this one. 2-2 draw, I'm saying. Fancy a few goals on either end. And then to round off game week 1, we're going to the King Power on Sunday for Leicester City up against Sheffield Wednesday. Now, all going well, hopefully this fixture is fulfilled by Sheffield Wednesday, but obviously the behind-the-scenes problems at Hillsborough have been rife this summer. How competitive the squad Wednesday are able to put out remains to be seen right now. At least they'll have Barry Bannon in the equation after he signed a new contract with Wednesday over the weekend, which was finally a bit of good news in what's been an otherwise really turbulent few months for the club. For a Leicester City perspective, we're still really none the wiser in terms of potential point deduction coming their way. Transfer business has been really slow for the Foxes, but still on paper, their strongest looking 11 looks like one of the strongest in the league. They're just coming off the back of a pre-season friendly where they beaten Fiorentina by 2-0. Fatu scored an absolute wonder goal in that game as well. This one, it feels like a bit of a formality really, doesn't it? How many goals are Leicester going to win by? I could see them being about 3-0 up by half-time and then maybe just taking their foot off the gas in the second half. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 4-0 Leicester in that season opener. But there you guys have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to drop a like and get all your score predictions in the comments down below. So glad to have Championship football back now. Like we mentioned at the start of the video, check out the Patreon, link in the comments or description I should say. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.